It's that zesty flow, no shame on the flow. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's that zesty.
Already I told you the intention of taking this particular basic program explanation in the starting is you will be having a ample time to install that particular JDK and work with the things. So from now onwards, for a 3 to 4 classes, we will be having a complete theoretical part. Meanwhile, when I'll be completing this particular theoretical part, if you want to work, so means a basic program whatever I have shown you, if anybody has not worked on that particular thing, please finish that particular part, because once we start with the conditional branching, looping, all those stuff, I'll not be explaining, or I'll not be taking a much of time to explain the basic concepts. A question in a chat box: sir, do the class name always begin with the capital letter in a Java? There is a no rule, but that is recommended to go with that, right? Whenever you are giving a class name, it is recommended to use a capital letters in the starting, not a complete word as a capital. Just a starting letter should be a capital. It will give you an indication that this is a class name. Okay, when it is an object, then it will be a small letter. Just for a differentiation, like whether it is a class name or object, for that particular differentiation, we will be having some rules. So that particular rule is class name should be a capital. In this example, whatever you are seeing, I have not written hello as a h as a capital, right? So there is, it is not going to show you like h is not capital. It will allow you, but the nomenclature or the rule, basic rule is h should be a capital. That means your class name should start with the capital letters. Till this particular program we have discussed in the last classes. Today we need to discuss some background part of this particular Java program, right? So the next important point which we need to discuss with respect to a Java programming is the bytecode. What does a bytecode means? See, if you remember, when we have written a Java file and a compiled, that means when I say compiled means we have typed a Java C followed by a file name, right? Once we compile, it was creating a class files for us, right? So the form, that means the class file whichever you were getting, so that is nothing but the values in a bytecode format, right? So that is a one format where it will be saving a content of your Java file, and the extension of that one will be a dot class, right? So there are a few important points which we need to remember with respect to a bytecode. So it says that bytecode is a highly optimized set of instructions designed to be executed by the Java runtime system. Observe the statement carefully. It has been designed to be executed by Java runtime system, which is called as Java virtual machine. That means now I am talking about, see, bytecode in the sense I already told you that is nothing but a dot class file, right? So what it is saying is that particular dot class file is a highly optimized set of instructions, right, that has been designed to be executed by the Java runtime system. That means there should be something called a Java runtime system, so which will be executing those dot class files, right? So that particular Java runtime system, we will be calling it as Java virtual machine, right? So now are you getting an idea? Like first you will be having a Java file. Once you compile, you will be getting a dot class file. Dot class file, we will be calling it as a bytecode format. On this particular bytecode format, if we are running, that means once you create a dot class, you will be running a program, right? Next step is a running a program, right? Who will be doing that particular running a program? Your Java virtual machine will be doing the running of a program, right? So now the bytecode in the sense that particular dot class files whichever you have generated after compiling a Java program, right? So the original JVM was designed as an interpreter for a bytecode, correct? You will be knowing a differentiation between what is a compiler and interpreter, right? Compiler means converting a high level to a low level. Compile, right? High level language to a low level language. Interpreter in the sense making your machine understand that particular high level language. That is nothing but an interpretation. You are giving us some interpretation like this means this means this. That is an interpretation. That means you are making a machine to understand those instructions, right? So what the point is saying, the original JVM, Java virtual machine, is nothing but the machine which will be running at that particular bytecode format for you. So original JVM was designed as an interpreter for a bytecode. That means your JVM can understand whatever has been written in a bytecode format, I hope this statement is clear. Right, your JVM will be running on that particular dot class files. So it is saying that that particular JVM can understand whatever has been written in the dot class files. Right. So now translating a Java program into a bytecode makes it much easier to run a program in a wide variety of environments, because only the JVM needs to be implemented for each platform. Right. So now what we are saying is, we are talking about a different environments. We are talking about a web application, we are talking about a mobile application, and a different environments. Right. So what this particular point is saying is, once you write a Java program, you will be converting that one to a bytecode format. Right. So once you convert it into a bytecode format, then you require a JVM which can understand that particular bytecode. Okay. So in an environment, say for example, if you have developed a web application, you'll be writing certain instructions in a Java and deploying that one. In the machine, wherever you are deploying, you no need to have a complete JDK installed. What you need to have is just a JVM which can understand those particular instructions. Any confusions? Right. Although the details of a JVM will differ from a platform to platform, it differs. If you are working on a mobile application, JVM will be different. If you are working on a web application, JVM might be different. Okay, all understand the same Java bytecode, right? So whatever a JVM you are talking about, all the JVMs will understand whatever the bytecode format you are talking about. So can we come to a conclusion that all the Java programs, once you run, once you compile, that will be converted to a bytecode? Yes, obviously, that is what we are saying. We are saying that Java's magic is nothing but a bytecode. Bytecode in the sense, for whichever platform you are writing a program, ultimately it will be compiled and stored as a dot class file. And the format of that particular dot class file is nothing but a bytecode. Right? So within a JVM, you will be having something called as a JIT. So JIT is a compiler, which is a part of a JVM, will compile selected portions of a bytecode into a executable code in a real time, on a piece by piece and on a demand basis. Right. So when you say Java file, so file will be having so many instructions. When it is having so many instructions, there will be a requirement like which instruction need to be executed first, which one need to be executed next. Right. So that particular decision based on a requirement, I'm talking about dynamic things. Right. Based on a requirement, whichever instruction need to be taken first, that will be taken care by your JIT compiler. Right. So where does this particular JIT compiler will be there? So it will be a part of your JVM. So within a JVM, you will be having a JIT. So that is called as just in time compiler. JIT compiler in the sense just in time compiler, which will take care of which instruction need to be loaded, and that particular set of instructions will be loaded piece by piece. That means a set of instructions. Clear? Got the idea of a bytecode? We have discussed three important terms here. One is a bytecode. Then we have discussed what is called as a JVM, that is a Java virtual machine, and the another part is a JIT. JIT is nothing but just in time compiler. Right? Runtime is required to run the application. JDK is required to develop application. JVM is required to run applications. Right? JVM is required to run your applications, not for the sake of a development. JIT stands for just in time compiler. JIT in the sense compiler. Just in time in the sense for a particular time, whichever set of instructions required, those instructions will be compiled. So it is called as just in time compiler. Right? Okay. So the next part which we need to discuss is Java development toolkit. That means, see, you will be knowing what is the meaning of a toolkit, right? Toolkit is nothing but collection of all the different instruments to perform a particular kind of a task, right? Java development toolkit. That means if you want to develop application using a Java, what are the things you need to have, right? So that is nothing but a Java development toolkit. So Java development toolkit basically will have a something called as JDK, right? Java development kit is a software development environment. Take a special care on the statement from now onwards. Java development kit is a software development environment for developing Java applications and applets. For a time being, don't worry about what is the applet, right? So what it says is, if you want to develop any Java application, then you need to have a Java development kit, right? We are talking about development, not a running a program, right? So there will be a two parts. One is developing application, and the second one is just a running application which has been developed already, right? So JDK is a collection for a developing a Java application, correct? That particular JDK, that is a Java development kit, includes what are the things? It includes Java runtime environment, an interpreter or a loader, right? In the bracket I have written as a Java, a compiler which is called as a Javac, a archiver, that means a supporting jar files, a documentation generator, that means there will be document for each and every library whichever you are using in environment, right? So that particular document will be stored in a Java docs, right? So the collection of all these things will make a something called as Java development kit, right? So why a Java development kit is used? It is used for developing a Java application. What all the things are there with respect to a Java development kit? You have a JRE, you have a Java, you have a Javac, you have a jar, and you have a Java doc, right? So these are the contents of your JDK, right? Now to run a Java application and applets, I told you already, don't worry about what is the applet, we will discuss later. What is the thing is, to run a Java application, till now we were discussing for a developing application, now we are talking about running application. To run a Java application, simply download the JRE, right? If you want to develop, you need to have a JDK. If you want to just run, then JRE is enough, right? To develop a Java application and applets as well as to run them, the JDK is needed, because the JDK will always comes with a JRE. So once you have a JDK installed, obviously the JRE will be working for you. JRE is used for a running application. JDK is used for a developing application. Have this particular differentiation clear in your mind. Okay. JDK stands for Java development kit. Development in the sense you are developing application. Development kit. JRE stands for Java runtime environment. That is the environment which is required to run the Java application which is already built, right? JRE is a part of a JDK. Once you install a JDK, you can develop and as well as run the application. So Java developers initially, so means in the starting, presented with the two JDK tools. Means initially there were only two tools with respect to a JDK. One was a Java and another was a Javac. Both are run from the command prompt previously. So we are talking about the previous version. So means initial stages. You want me to give us some common example which is not related to a technical stuff. So for example, means preparing or building a bike is different than riding a bike, right? What I mean to say is riding, so means preparing a bike, that means building a bike or creating a bike is nothing but a development process, right? For that particular development process I'm saying, right? So I want to prepare a bike now, right? When I want to prepare a bike, I will be having a different spare parts. I need to attach those things in a proper fashion, right? This is the process of a development. That means I'm trying to build an application, right? So now what I'm saying is, when I want to build application, I need to have a JDK, build an application. When you have already application has been built, right? Now the bike is ready, it has been attached with all the spare parts whichever was required. Now it has to be taken on road, right? When you want to take it on road, you should have a skills to run that one, right? So now whatever the skills you require to run that one, that is nothing but a JRE, Java Runtime Environment, right? The skills required to run the program, run the particular application is nothing but a JRE, right? The tools or the things required to develop that particular application is nothing but a JDK, right? Now, can I say that the person who knows how to build that particular application, that means a JDK, will be always coming with the instructions of how to ride that particular bike, correct? So now the thing is clear. JDK is nothing but a development environment. JRE is nothing but a runtime environment, right? JDK is used for a building and running. JDK is used for a building and running. That means it can build a motorcycle and it can run also. That means they will be knowing how to ride that particular bike. Okay. So JRE is just a concern with respect to how to ride a bike. It is nowhere concerned with respect to how to develop a bike. Java virtual means another question. So what is the difference between a Java virtual machine and a JRE? See, JRE is nothing but a complete environment. Okay, JVM is nothing but a part of that particular JRE. JDK is a bigger perspective. Within a JDK, you will be having a JRE, right? Now within a JRE, you will be having a JVM. Within a JVM, you will be having something called as a JIT, just-in-time compiler. JDK is the outer layer. Within a JDK, you will be having a JRE. JRE is only concerned with respect to running application. How that particular application will be run using a JVM and a JIT, right? So JavaC compiler is invoked. This already we have seen by executing a program, but now you have just a statement. So JavaC compiler is invoked to create .class files. Once a .class files are created, the Java command can be used to run the Java program, right? So this we have already done, executed a simple basic program, right? Okay. So this is the Java evolution. When once I share you this particular PPT, you can go through this particular slide in detail. For a time being, I just wanted to highlight a few points. See, JDK is a beta version that has been started in the year 1995, right? So end of a free public update. That means this particular version has been stopped, right? So extended support until, that means there is no data available for this particular extended version support, right? So later in 1996 you got a JDK version 1.0. So for that also you don't have any description about when a public update has been closed, when extended support has been closed, right? J2SE, this is stands for Java 2 software edition or a standard edition, right? So these things will be, it's a combination of a different applications, right? You can develop a web application, you can develop a mobile application, that kind of a stuff, right? So it is named as Java 2 software edition or a Java 2 system edition. Few people will call it as a software edition, few people will call it as a system edition, right? Whenever I say some J2SE, this is the overall package. Within this particular package, you will be having a JDK versions, right? So initially they were just naming it as a JDK. Later on, they have kept a JDK as part of these things. So now at this particular point, if I say Java SC8, that is, this is a version 8, right? So for this particular version 8, the version of a JDK might be used is a 1.8, right? So just observe the support for that particular one is till 2025. Okay, so you have a Java version 9. For this particular Java version 9 also, the JDK is a 1.8 itself, right? Few people might have installed Java SE 9 from the Oracle site. So for this particular Java version 9 also, the JDK used is a 1.8 version itself, right? So now whatever a latest version I said with respect to a JDK, you have a 1.8 itself, whatever the different kind of packages you are creating, right? So all the different packages, they are using a 1.8 JDK itself, right? They might be including a few libraries with respect to a mobile application, because now a mobile application is mobile application development is having so many packages incorporated with that one, because of IoT and IoT related applications, because nowadays more fantasy is there with respect to a mobile application development on IoT platform, right? So for that reason, there are so many libraries included with respect to a mobile application development. So the JDK version used is a 1.8 itself, but so many libraries, other libraries have been added for a software edition or a system edition. Okay, so this list just shows you which version of a JDK was released in what date, followed by till what duration there was a support for that particular version, what was the extended support time for that particular version. Okay, so the latest release is a Java SE 12, but a JDK used for that one is a 1.8 version of a JDK, right? So this shows the evolution of your Java, right? So this particular topic, Java features, is very important topic with respect to your exams and as well as with respect to your interviews, right? So the question will be asked something like this: what makes a Java more fascinating, or why Java is occupying 80% of our application development market, right? So in those scenarios, the answer for that particular question will be a Java features, right? Because of its unique features, you have that much occupancy of a Java development, right? So many number of applications are arising in a Java environment, right? So what are those features? I'll not take much time. We'll finish off these features very quickly, so that 2 o'clock again we have a class. We will go with the keywords and the literals, right? So the first feature of a Java, why this particular Java is more interesting, or why so many people are using this particular Java, is it is very simple, right? What does a simple means, right? Before to Java, the most used programming language was a C and a C++. So C++ was having a concept of a classes and objects. So your Java didn't change those concepts. It has just extended the functionalities of a classes and objects. So the people who already know the C++, it was a very comfortable for them to write a program in a Java, right? So that is the reason why it was called as simple, because people were already knowing a C++. They were comfortable with what is a class, what is an object, right? So for those people, this particular Java doesn't, that means it was not that much completely different programming language, right? So that was the first important point why it is called as a simple, right? So it is easy to learn as it uses a syntax similar to C or a C++. So it was simple. Second one is a secure. How come this is secure? One important thing I wanted to show you with respect to these features, I have made a note in the bottom of these particular slides, right? Let me finish at this particular point, then I'll show you how I have written the points and how you have to read this particular PPT, right? So the first point was a simple, because it was using a syntax similar to a C or a C++. The second important feature was secure. Secure in the sense, once you write a program, it will be converted to a bytecode format. So that particular bytecode format, if you want to give any features of security, you can directly give at a point of a bytecode question in a chat box. Again, I'm telling you, don't post the questions privately. Others will not be knowing what I'm discussing. Sir, I don't know C very much, so should I again start C? Not required to start completely from the basic. If you don't know the C, at least have an idea on a looping, that is what is a for loop, what is a while loop, what is a do while loop, looping part. Then be clear with the functions and arrays. Looping, functions, arrays. If you are clear with these three topics, then you will be comfortable with respect to a Java program. right? Secure in the sense, I was saying something like, once you will be having a bytecode format, that particular, this means if you want to give us some security features of particular application, you can just concentrate on a bytecode format. If you are giving a security features on a bytecode, then the complete application will be a secure part. Portable, portable means you can write once and you can run anywhere, right? So that is what we have said. It will be in a bytecode format. Any JVM, right? You can make that particular JVM to work on a bytecode. So all the JVMs will understand whatever bytecode you have. Okay. So the fourth important feature is the object oriented. Everything is an object. Primitive, so means with respect to a Java, everything is an object. Even if you want to write a simple hello world program, first you will be writing a class itself. Class hello, then only you will be writing a main. That means every function has been included as a part of a class, right? So it is going to give you complete object oriented approach, right? Once we see a different programs, then you will get a clear idea about what is object and what is object oriented part, right? So for the time being, you just keep in mind that you will not be having even a single instruction outside a class, right? If you want to write anything, then it should be a part of a class. Okay. So Java also supports a primitive data types like a normal integers and all, just to keep a performance better. We will discuss what exactly is this particular primitive data types and what exactly is the difference between objects and the primitive types in the further classes. Right? Primitive types in the sense int, float, char, double, whatever you have seen with respect to C language, those are nothing but a primitive data types. Okay. Objects is nothing but that is slightly different. We will discuss once we start with the objects part. Right. So these are the four important features with respect to this slide. You have a few more features. This slide I just wanted to tell you here with respect to each point. Bottom I have written some description about that particular point, right? When you are reading this particular thing, so means I have not put a complete description on the slide. You can refer this particular content from the textbook. Out of those content, whichever points I have written here, so those are the important points which you need to highlight when you are writing an answer for this, right? So we call Java is a robust in the sense, no need to explain nowadays, right? Robust in the sense it should be a strong, right? Strong, how it will be a strong? Even if it is affected with some small errors, it should be in a position to handle those errors. Robust in the sense it should be a very strong, right? Nowadays you will be having so many statements with respect to strength and all, right? Build your immune system, be strong, don't expose to virals, don't expose to bacteria, don't expose to coronas, right? Robust in the sense you should have a capacity to hold or more are, that means you should be in a position to say that this was a small mistake was happened, please rectify that particular small mistake, then you will become a robust, right? So your Java is having a robust systems with respect to a memory management. That means how the memory has to be stored. It has got some extra features for that. You have something called as a garbage collector. Don't worry about what exactly is a garbage collector, we will discuss it later. And a mishandled exception, that means exception handling. You thought something and wrote a program, but something else has been happened, right? If that is the case, your Java will help you, like this is not the way to write the program, you are not following a proper procedure, then follow the proper procedure. It will convey you a message saying that, right? So those are nothing but exception handling. By keeping all these things, it has become very robust with respect to, right? So Java supports a multi-threading concept. Multi-threading in the sense you can run more than one set of instructions at the same time, right? So we have again a big chapter on a multi-threading, then we will discuss in detail what exactly is a multi-threading concept. The next feature is architecture neutral, right? So architecture neutral in the sense, see, you are developing applications for some operating system. That means your Mac OS will be having a Java applications, your Windows OS also will be having some Java applications, right? Whatever application you are developing, it should be compatible with the underlying operating system, right? What I'm saying is, whatever application you are developing, that should be compatible with the underlying operating system, right? So Java has been taken care in such a way that even though if there are small changes with respect to underlying operating system, then also you can modify your Java program with the least efforts, right? So what I mean to say is, if underlying operating system is changing, then also you can fix your Java application perfectly without much efforts, right? So the next important feature is interpreted. We have already said that a JVM is working on that particular bytecode. JVM will actually interpret that particular instruction. Interpret in the sense it can understand it directly, right? Whenever an application is using an interpreter, then obviously it will be a faster when compared to application which will compile, right? When you are compiling application, the time taken will be a more. When you are interpreting an application or a set of instruction, then the time taken will be a less, right? So using all these features, your Java programming is showing a better performance when compared to other programming languages. Then it is having a feature of a distributed in the sense you can develop some network related programs, right? There is something called a RMI, that is remote method invocation. That means I'll be writing one method and saving in one system in a network. Remotely, I can make that particular method work. Remote method invocation, right? So those kind of applications can be easily developed using a Java, right? So that means a network related kind of applications can be done efficiently with respect to Java using something called as socket programming. There is something called as socket programming. Don't worry if you don't understand all those things, but keep in mind that distributed in the sense different places, right? When pieces of instructions are at a different place, then you can use a RMI, that is a remote method invocation, and make applications to run in a different systems. Okay, so those kind of things can be easily developed using a JVM, so means Java. The last one is a dynamic in the sense it is ready to accept a new libraries. It is ready to change with respect to types of environments. It is ready to withstand the different fluctuations with respect to errors and all those things. So that particular Java programming is the dynamic, right? So these are the features of a Java which makes your Java most popular and most effective programming language, right? So how many features? 1 2 3 4 here, and 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. So totally you have some 11 features which are making your Java as most comfortable programming language when compared to others, right? I'll not extend this particular class further, but I will have a quick revision. It won't take much of a time. Just an overview of what are the things we have discussed today. We have said a bytecode. Bytecode will be executed from a JVM, correct? Java runtime, there should be, JVM is nothing but a part of a Java runtime, right? So Java virtual machine will be converting your bytecode to a normal instructions. That means a program will be executed, correct? So this will be interpreted, your bytecode will be interpreted. So the work of that particular interpretation will be done by your JVM. So we have discussed what is called as a bytecode, we have discussed what is called as a JVM, we have discussed what is called as a JIT, just in time compiler. So we said that you will be having a Java development toolkit. So under a Java development toolkit, you will be having a JRE, you will be having a Java, you will be having a jar, you will be having a Java C, you will be having a Java doc, right? JRE is with respect to a running up application. JDK is with respect to developing application, right? So as a part of a JRE, you will be having a JVM. Within a JVM, you will be having a JIT for running applications, right? JDK is used for a building, JRE is used for a running, right? So this was the evolution of a Java, which shows a different version. and the support for those particular versions till what date. Then we have discussed the 11 features of your Java. So that's it for today's class.